know, I've been in the dark about a lot of things in my life that I haven't come to the light and really see. And I've been blind by a lot of things I've seen in my life that I wish I was in the dark about. I need balance. Yeah. Alright. Damn. Now what's gonna be the conclusion? What if I told you everything that you see in illusion? You might think you breathing air, but it's being polluted. Can't even take no alcohol without the demons included. That's why me and my spirit love being secluded. Let my soul drift off when I hear the music. I know a lot of things ain't being right. Just because you can see don't mean you see the light. Don't get blinded by illusions, they could be so bright. You can become a blind man that don't need a sight. You can become a woman that's gonna need direction. Just take a look up at her face and see the stressing. We be restless, getting no sleep. Baby, we can play naughty, I ain't gon' lie. But you gotta rest your gang body. If you never woke up in again, rem you sleeping, thinking you awake now, but you been really dreaming. Yeah, yeah. You haven't seen nothing. Yeah. You haven't seen nothing. Yeah. You haven't seen nothing. Living in a world of illusion. I ain't never seen a day that was a good morning. I bet you wake up every day and yell good morning. Screaming yellow, gave a fuck how many sins done. I bet your stupid ass think you only live once. Just based off what you see, it's just hopeless help. Just be quiet, man, a person always show themselves. Once it go in your emotions, now you know it's felt. You could lose your soul based just off the moody tones. When a person wants you to come visit their world, everything going circles cause you live in a swirl. Everything is just picture referrals. It ain't the paint or the ink that was needed to make you think or believe it. Damn, it's the flight boss, you can't duplicate it. My whole life I was trying to get illuminated. Don't even matter, I be looking offensive. Gotta pay attention to anyone that push an agenda. God damn. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing. Yeah. Living in a world of illusion. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing. Yeah, you haven't seen nothing. Living in a world of illusion.
Now, we'll get into some shit we don't really need no English language that we even develop for us to understand. Actions speak louder than words. Isabel. I said actions speak louder than words. Before we make a language, we point at things to understand. We point at synchronicities based off the limited understanding of you being in a human brain and a human mind. Your first mind, well, your first body is the mind. So we just all spiritual beings. You need to know that too. Then when we create the mind and it connect with another mind, another beautiful baby is created. Now spirits can get born within that little pocket because there are no things, aka spaces. Then they create a mind in there, piggyback off the mind that they're surrounded around. That become a realm of reality. Got fruits in this world. Don't give that too much anthropomorphizing concepts and circumstances because that's the space you're at. You're just not an adult spirit to develop a level of comprehension, not even on my level to be able to understand, to even transmute to put in these punk ass Bibles for y'all to, listen to a degenerate that's probably in hell. Now, the reason why I got so much good things in it when it comes to morality and qualities and virtues and principles and stuff like that is based upon a colonist interacted with other people on their cultures on their indigenous lands. So, it may not have even been seen in the mind or spoken about certain contexts in a grave, exaggerated, anthropomorphized caricature way. You see what I'm saying? Because it might have just been transmuted through a way of life And if you're doing something the right way mentally, it play out the right way action-wise. And if it's relate and sync with something outside of you, including nature, then goddamn, you're a little closer to the Holy Spirit and what conducted you on your continent than someone else who may just drift off and stumble and fall and need you to eat. So, for the most part, it's about cultivating the land. But where did you get that idea from? And the idea is this atmosphere. And if it's blowing to condense to be as a certain flow of water, and then you're doing that internally and playing those actions out with your different mathematical version of it, if it's more in sync and relatable, then you know you're a little closer to something. So whatever you speak is always going to be at the starting point of not being over exaggerated as a form of anthropomorphizing, caricaturizing, and actually just claiming you could be a part of something in spirit and not even born in that family, not even having a DNA, not even having a bloodline, not even having no DNA test, but you can go ahead and take over other countries and things of that nature. So whoa, y'all understand that's a starting point where, you know, things could be put in a trick bag and it's you the trick or the treat. You see what I'm saying? But that's besides the fact what we get into. The actual fact of the matter is just it within itself. So, you know, this is a platform, and I'm not talking about YouTube, I'm talking about this earth itself, of where spirits come in and express where they came from and where they're going. Because the spirit come from a certain space, esoteric geographical location, create states of beings, states of awarenesses that being, that spirit is in. And this is what we're calling the mind, that has its own transitions of gas, liquid, solid. Gas, thought, atmosphere, liquid, emotion, condensing, fluid, and then solid, formation, grounding, earth, body. Now, based upon where the spirit is in that space, in a certain space, they're going to be in certain spirits, certain space. Certain spirits been here before you. So a space that your spirit is a space, individual solo, that's what we call it, a soul, could be in a space that another spirit was in that space before you and actually made up the mentality, aka the interactions, the way how to think, the way to move the atmosphere and the environment, the way it was doing it, to compare and contrast with the holy atmosphere and environment that we all in. So you can get influence with other ideas that either agree with your ideas that you're making on your own or disagree with your ideas you're making on your own. Your ideas and feelings that you're making on your own is your mentality, your chakra system, your wheels of awarenesses. As a spirit, you're already in a certain space to develop your awarenesses. That's your spaceship. Now, when it bend in and become your organs, it becomes the things you like to utilize as a witchcraft, craft a mentality together to please what your mentality have came to be, which is an organ. So this is why you like things outside of you that another person may not like. That goes into other concepts too, when it comes into your dislikes and things that you was tired of in a previous cycle that now is just playing out in a different transition, but you have to not allow it to affect you the same way it affected you previously. So you can learn about mistakes. Now, so when you understand this aspect, right, that we're in a certain space, we make a certain mind state, and it's either going to be something that agree with us or don't agree with us. That's us piggybacking off something outside of us, another individual influence, a bug, an animal, or another spirit that have been in that space before you. So it's a spiritual predecessor. May not be in form at the moment, or maybe in a lighter form, or however the case may be. Same way you was in a lighter form before you condensed and your mind collapsed and became physical by the team of other spirits. And now you got that mind in his body, still being in that world as a spirit, being the observer. So you have to observe yourself first before you self-project without understanding how to build the internal layers while still doing it. So what does this mean? Regardless of language and what we're connecting to, there's a certain trait that shows if it's in sync and relatable with something outside of us that doesn't necessarily match the mathematical percentage of what we are and what's inside of us, yet it's something that we need. And the better we know how to go about it, the better we know we in relatable and synchronized energy. The moment we go about it in a self-serving way and not a self-service way, it creates problems for oneself and others, even when oneself think they're getting over and is not harming them. So these is natural qualities that play out in all attributes of life before one or the other person that's a spirit in a mind and body is in one or the other position, and then start to jot down a literature. So before we even get the literature through all language, you know the spiritual starting point a person is developing their mind state and how they see the world through the lens of themselves first before they externally use the physical world to start writing it down. So when you get into the context of the Bible, this is how you could break it down like they stole the good natures from people, good culture, but it's purely from the starting point of someone who was a degenerate. Then you have another starting point where you have individuals who probably not even wanted to write no Bible and keep things an oral tradition due to the fact of there's degenerates in the world willing to remix things for the sake of their own self-serving bidding. So when you understand it from that aspect, you don't have to get lost, because for the most part, if you're following a certain spirit, it's going to lead to the same outcomes no matter what language and what continent that you're on. So for the most part, let's get into the Christian Bible. Now, if you want to think about the attribute, it's in darkness, right? What does it do? It send others out. What does it do? It's like a colonist. What's another natural trait? It's a separatist. It separates itself from things that's dealing with relatability and synchronizing energy. And it only does it in small pockets. So anyone who's following this spirit, no matter where they at, 9 times out of 10, that spirit only know how to lead to other people who have these similar vulnerabilities that only start to appear to look like a cult, a religion, something that isolates, something that practices segregation, and something that has a mentality on its head that's false, which is just a in general representation of a person already in hell, because that's where their spirit was coming from, and that's where their spirit get ready to go. But they're on earth right now going through the test. So this is why religious theologians love going through debates. They can't wait till an atheist to tell them something that they always knew in their heart was right, but just an atheist not going to be able to be the one to do it. A scientist is going to stay trying to understand the physical world and utilize their mind to do it, not understanding their mind is affecting the brain first. So start there. A colonist itself always going to be trying to justify a circumstance to cope with the negative degeneracy that they did, and just come up with stupid arguments like, well, if your God exists, why your God ain't stop us from doing it? And if a God is something that's in our own will, or whatever the case may be, then that's what allowed us to create force and weapons, and y'all didn't. So this is what makes us God, our government, bitch. And then for the most part, these are the 4 sectors of people going to hell, justifying circumstances that has nothing to do with reality but one's own mind. So when you get into a situation like this, if you only like Barney and you a kid, and then y'all having a drawing contest, right? Then for the most part, the teacher the adult spirit is the allegory of the teacher right now. Going to kind of get a sense of when you at home, even when your parents allow you to be on your own time to watch stuff on TV, right? Let's say you a kid and you start drawing vampires and shit and things of that nature, right? Then the teacher gonna get a good kind of sense of, you know what I'm saying, what's kind of going on with you, where both of y'all spiritual spaces is. So one kid so if the teacher say, hey, draw somebody up under a tree, and one kid draw Barney, and the other kid draw goddammit, a vampire, you know what I'm saying, don't use Barney as a dinosaur. So if one kid draw Barney and the other kid draw a vampire and stuff like that, it don't have anything to do with no language. The little boy who drew a vampire in hell just came from hell, come from a long line lineage of a spirit that spirit inside of that mind and that body of the kid, it keep going in that space, getting ideas from that spirit that's burning in hell at the moment. So the kid only know how to self-project. The adult only know how to self-project where they're going though, and how they see things. And they get a lot of good ideas to go about it while they're alive, by a spirit that's no longer alive to be able to do it. So it's just a spirit trapped in its own degenerate thoughts trying to get out of it, and spirits that's in that same space trying to feel comfortable when they're alive, just like when that spirit was alive, thinking that they was doing something to get comfortable, thinking they was doing something for monetary gain or whatever the case may be. So there's never I came back energy to tell you this is the wrong way to go about something. It's the spirits that come from hell, but we're all spiritual root races. So you're going to get a group of ants like this, that's on the right side, the evil side. You're going to get a group of bears like this. Everybody learn their washing machine cycles and start to lessen up and stuff like that, right? So when it comes into this kind of aspect, it's a spirit that get ready to did that first concept of evaporation, but didn't quite evaporate yet in our lifetime, because it did so much of that stupid shit and had others to help. So there's a lot of spirits, but there's a main one that's like the scapegoat for coming up with that stupid idea in the first place. And when spirits is in that space, that's where they come from. But throughout the evolution, creation, mutation, evolution, right, they still have grace. When you a human get ready to be an atmosphere, you're supposed to know better, because you're supposed to know you're making organs with the mind. So this is how you're engineering new species to come in, and you have to act accordingly with all of us. So when there's a short change of participation, and then when we in one being, but all the different continents represents the different sides of the organ and the heart, right? Then that means one group of spirits or blood cells wasn't playing their part mentally to build the fruit, and just came into the world after spirits already built the mind and the body, and then start plucking from it, like, why I can't do this with it, why I can't do that with it, because you're not an adult spirit. You have to be in on carving the environment itself, the atmosphere itself, not be born in the environment and the atmosphere and start feeling like, would you? So this is that seed right here, where it's a younger spirit trying to be the adult faster when they get born, but the only ones who have grace. So this spirit never even made it into physical reality, the one I'm talking about right now. And this is a lot of the spirits that colonists follow and the pilgrims follow. They never even made it in reality. It created the existence of hell. The first spirit that got lost in their own mind because they wasn't in on the spirits creating the world first, that became aware first. It ain't like something having an intent. It's just what we doing, and things happens like it just so happens to be type shit. So when a mind collide with another mind, spirits in this space is one of a kind. So my mind body interacting with another mind body, first birth form to us will be like a world, but spirits that become aware inside of that, because space is the spirit. We fulfill spaces with spirits. I mean, with mental consciousness. So when a spirit become aware, or a group of souls become aware, after those spirits have already done that, they are only knowing how to have the comprehension of what they're piggybacking off of that. But all spirits have the ability to become aware on their own. You just don't always have the ability to be aware in a world that you started the awareness there. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand that too. So the pocket you in, your awareness is going to be most agreeable with the spirits who was there before you, awareness that built the first world, the mind, and then the body once it condensed, and then you're playing out multiple versions of that. So a lot of times their mind is your physical world too. You see what I'm saying? It ain't physical to them though. Just like your blood cells, the way you think and feel condense and become your testosterones and estrogens. And when they come together, it become an androgen. And androgen is just a different term for your blood moving equally. You know what I'm saying? It got a healthy blend. You can't build estrogens if your testosterone and estrogens is off. So you have unbalanced hormonal imbalances. So your blood is not being able to push, move, aka have the build it adrenaline when there's an even match of testosterone and estrogen mix. And then when you don't have that, it's because you don't have a lot of external thoughts or being able to receive well. Receiving well is building the estrogen and being able to deal with the emotional energy. And then your ability to externalize and analyze and have a logical thought, that builds the testosterone. But these things are supposed to be balanced. You're supposed to have a logical thought about an emotional feeling. Create an emotional feeling that only your logical thought like, and these that guide you to your spirit doing right things and finding right fruits and being in situations where you know something wrong, but you just can't seem to sense it at the moment because so much of the distraction or Walt Disney or the circumstance at hand that you're obligated to do cause for other things that don't allow you to see that your spirit is being blocked in a certain way, but you're just in survival mode at the time. You see what I'm saying? And that goes through layers and shit. So when we start to talk about spirits, we all spirits, but depending on your adultness is what kind of organ and how light of that organ is going to be, whether it's atmospheric, you know what I'm saying, which is thought and thought. You could be another thought and stuff like that and start building up a broader world than this. So spirits that become aware after you is living inside of you as a world, and you're doing that. And then a lot of times we have spirits that became blood cells being born through natural spirits of this being we in, from other creatures and stuff like that that's in hell with themselves and lesser creatures and things of that nature. And then for the most part, when those spirits come here based upon whatever this being we doing, and then whatever it's doing and filter through and then interact with the natural beings that's here, it get born through us. So it's not an indigenous, it becomes something through us based upon whatever we started to do mentally, then we started to do physically. And now we get to actually see a spirit where it came from and where it's going in action. And all the things that is lost in. And all the things that it's willing to do. and all the extremities and stuff like that, and what it think it's doing and stuff like that. It's really just spirits trying to build layering systems. How do I think and how do I feel and how can I submerge in it? You know what I'm saying? So when it's a child spirit, it still have to mimic the adult. So it has to mimic vibrations, mimic thought forms, mimic emotional reactions, create things like romance and stuff like that. Because it's a spirit like an animal or a bug next to adult spirits and trying to mimic it. But since we're a blood cell inside one of these beings, so it got born through us, it's able to play out a representation where it appeared like us, but in all actuality and reality, where them spirits come from is not nothing relatable or synced, not even with itself. You see what I'm saying? So when we get into the Bibles and stuff like that, yeah, you could be in this world with us, but your idea about it is about to be fucked up. Your starting point about it is about to be fucked up. All the way to Genesis, God was in darkness. We didn't start that part. When we start getting into the 7 days and stuff like that, that's the parts we had something to do with. Then you get into other areas. But really, the generalized story is just going to be about the mind of a colonist and what they was thinking in the middle of colonizing people. You know what I'm saying? And then, because you can only talk about your God based upon your human perspective, and there's only humans writing languages for other humans to understand. You know what I'm saying? Didn't nothing float through the sky without a human running and shit like that. And they ain't about to say that thing was saying a language. And I'm the first one who said this language. That wasn't, they was copying from us of how we even tapped into the land and coming up with this as a way to explain Yehovah, right? Then there ain't no language a human came up with to understand the language of animals and bugs, but yet we know they have languages. Or a beaver wouldn't have a beaver dam. Bees wouldn't have a bee nest. It wouldn't be birds wouldn't fly down south altogether like that and stuff like that. So there's a form of communication. So when you're getting any form of language, right, and you're getting it from a human, and then you have to be careful. The starting point have to make sense. If their starting point is God told them, and this is what Genesis is, but it ain't even God telling them. It's in third person, like a human is sitting there expressing it or whatever the case may be. That's the mind of a colonist, a one that was in hell at that. So this is what they want the world to be. You see what I'm saying? That's just what a group of humans want the world to be. It has nothing to do with life or God or anything of that nature. It's just some humans. You could tell whatever God, replace God with the mind, and then replace the book with the author. So whoever was the author was in some type of government council seat, and they was colonists. The end. There ain't no other. Like if you try to make that make sense, and everybody got common sense. You know what I'm saying? But that's why you only getting the common sense from the third person story. The colonists writing about other people like Jesus and stuff like that. But the book is written from the winners, baby. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear nothing about whose family, whose son, about nothing about no cancel except who's the goddamn in charge or who the government. And once it get to the people who got all the good qualities and shit like that, you barely know their brother. You don't know if they had kids. You don't know if they just some drifter old goddamn it person getting rock stone at them and shit like that. Okay, now look at yourself. Lord, and look at the government. I don't see a difference. Some goddamn Hebrew Israelite on the damn corner right now. The goddamn is crying about the government being in control. You know what I'm saying? Control about something. So I don't know why y'all understand, but like I don't know why y'all in the first retarded starting point where you still think like an animal. You thought God was somewhere writing a book in Latin. Like you like retarding, so like retarded. Strike one. Whoever wrote the book is the author. Like y'all be trying to question who authored the book. So that's how they updated it like a couple 100 years ago. Like 150 years ago. To try to say, no, well, we ain't write it, it was interpreted. Well, who interpreted it in? You got a reprobate interpreter mind and shit like that. Who said that anybody who was really tapped into God or tapped into the land would have looked at any brick or any scripture and came up with your retarded thought? You said like y'all don't know how to have common sense because y'all ain't, a lot of y'all is foreigners. Man, if y'all native to a land, y'all know, man, got any kind of God or something like that come from culture, bitch. Walk and conquer. So you got to understand the mind frame. If you think the Bibles and the Christians and Calvin, if you think that's the starting point, how is that your people's starting point? That's somebody else's starting point. Yeah, and everybody could come up with a good ego God or whatever the case may be. That still ain't got nothing to do with relatability and synchronizing. The moment you see somebody's God, that's their mind. When they say sending Lucifer somewhere, then Lucifer allowed to manipulate somebody. That ain't nothing but some colonists trying to tell y'all, hey, accept what I've done. No, I said that's it. So anytime you see the government or a colonist acting out these qualities and stuff like that, you're going to go ahead and blame it on God. You're going to go ahead and say, yeah, God allowed this. God ain't got shit to do with you being broke over bills, bitch. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what you talking about. God ain't got nothing to do about somebody getting killed and shit like that. They still, look, y'all hearing this from a native. You got to know how tricky white boy is sometimes, right? We have a way of looking at something when something bad or good happens. White boy will put us in a lose-lose situation. We'll start doing technology tricks for outcomes of our bad belief and the good belief and do them both and claim that y'all God probably did it. Y'all said like, y'all don't know how cold it is. Like, these guys be cold with shit. And we let them get too far. So they brought so many foreigners over here. I don't know what kind of membrane, neuron, and exorcism to go through to make the right word to make you not believe in tornadoes and hurricanes being and earthquakes being real and volcanoes. You know what I'm saying? At once upon a time, we did that for real. And it wasn't no phones or anything of that nature. And white man ain't had that power. And it was more of us over here. And then when it get middle, and then it got more equal, it was stuff happening still that can't nobody do no trick. They got technology now. Get ready to make blue beam and shit where they act out these same things interacting with us on y'all because y'all already in the colonist belief. You already like a Christian. You already like a Mormon. You're already a Calvinist. You're already a Hebrew Israelite. So it's a mental bondage they got y'all in. Because if you was native to a land, you will understand the starting points of how a land get taken. You won't be starting from no weird starting points like sometimes FBAs be starting at and shit like that. Like it's weird starting points. But when you start to understand how lands get taken in the first place and stuff like that, and based upon the spiritual practices before is a law, and everybody had their own law, and we're competing law, but law is about God law at that point. So anybody start writing shit down and create a foreigner system for other people to be up under them and they can play God, but don't believe that shit because their starting point is, well, if y'all got a spooky system, our spooky system about to be melting metals and exploding shit, and that's God. So it's like a sarcasm. We got like a hit you in your balls joke, like a harsh joke that you think is criticism, but we just joke roast. They got a sarcasm way of joking. So this is why y'all don't really get their movies. You don't get Wizard of Oz, E.T., you know what I'm saying? You don't get Children of the Corn. Like you don't get the sarcasm of white man then took our religion and put their face on the sun and everything. Now they're taking our culture and playing all these Avenger characters that we all the way to Birdman and stuff. For an example, Angel itself, right, was nothing else but a white man seeing Native Americans and certain tribes who was doing so much they had the feathers all the way on the arms. And called themselves the heavenly angles of the west end and the north end and the east end and the west end, and then being the real heroes and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? That's white boy ain't coming up with these concepts. Like if you really put that on the back of a white boy, they can't explain it. They're just gonna be like, well, 2,000 years ago, it might have been an alien, or it might have been this, that, and the third. No, the idea itself before they start drawing shit down was, oh, this is what Indians was doing in every capacity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Birds of a feather flock together. Birds of the same feather flock together. They're talking about tribes. The one with the fringes, talk about tribes. The high priest, talk about Native Americans. Like really 90% of the Bible, the New Testament and parts of the Old Testament is about Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like everybody else ain't get colonized until the 1900s and 1800s. So even the term Indian, wasn't nobody even being called Indian in India or whatever the case may be. All the Indian wars before India even got colonized was us. We established that term itself in the end. You see what I'm saying? They just changing history so they could be native and then bring foreigners over here to act out the same energies. So y'all will sound like the white man, the way the white man was trying to sound in the late 1700s. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but y'all won't get that. Y'all won't kind of understand that. But at some point though, yeah, the Bible itself is just a colonist taking other people's culture and trying to remix it to justify their actions. So that's why y'all is doing the same thing. You're in that spirit, justifying God's actions. But you're justifying the government actions. That's the only time you're going to see it on earth. And then you just get lost when you try to separate it. God and the government. They changed the term God and put V on it. So Q is for the Queen, R is for the royal family, J is for the Jesuits, V is for the Victorian government, and C is for colonization and crown. You know what I'm saying? So anytime they put those letters on somebody's language, it's colonized, and they then took it and created a pig gig language and claimed it for themselves to think that they could get to God, and they won't have to suffer from what they have done. This is what they're going through, or you wouldn't even be seeing them and the Pope practicing religious practices. They get all their religious practices all the way to Council Rocks, everything from Native Americans and other people they colonize around the world. But really all of it from Native Americans, because really when you go to Africa, China, India, Egypt, all these places, y'all, it's like remixes of Native Americans, because y'all always colonized in the 18 and 1900s, which means what, y'all was in a soul sleep or nothing, something. It means you was doing nothing. Britain man was just doing everything, and Britain man using the pig gig language of having the most interactions with us Native Americans to even create the names for y'all. So only people they didn't really do that deeply with is China, you know what I'm saying, and Japan and shit, because just by distance, and so they just really just doing good business deals. When it come to Africa, they just using Arabs as goddamn missionaries to colonize every goddamn thing. Or you wouldn't even see no goddamn Myron Gaines over here speaking for the government, but acting like he for the people. You see what I'm saying? It's the same terminology, but it's all, they can't do nothing else but use foreign energy. And what I be meaning by suitcase energy, they packing up their last bags, because once you can't use foreigners, that's it. You got to meet your accountability fate. You can't run no more. You got to face us Native Americans, and you got to face the freedmans. You can't create no more round conversations. Because all your around conversations, you can't use nobody but foreigners. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. Y'all long ago, burnt out y'all ability to do that yourselves. When y'all first was doing it all the way to the late 1800s, the gold rush and shit like that, racism was fun to y'all because it was more y'all. The more y'all spirit downsized and y'all wasn't making enough babies, and then when y'all tried to, y'all failed after mixing with the Native Americans, failed, our spirit jumped back in. Mixing with the freedmans, failed, our spirit, they spirit jumped back in. Mixed with the Tainos, failed, they spirit jumped back in. You can't say this not going on in reality, because anybody in a position of power would keep things the same. Ain't no such thing as no other ethnicity being on no news channel. Ain't no such thing as no other ethnicity being a representation in the newspapers. Back in the day, before we had TV, all newspapers was about demonizing Native Americans, even when we ain't do nothing. Even when motherfuckers was under white flag parties and shit like that, up under United States flag as a sense of peace or something like that. Some drunk ass colonist, Dick Little or something like that, and just get mad at life one day and go kill 300 Native Americans for no fucking reason and shit like that. Shit like that. And that dad claim they doing something with this. We used to do bad stuff to our people. They don't do nothing to this person but send them home. That ain't no damn hang him or something like that. They just send him home. That ain't no punishment. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, fuck all that and shit like that. This is what's going on. Goddamn demons. This motherfucker shit though. But yeah, this is slaughtering everybody and shit all over the goddamn world, the country and shit. What they bringing in the goddamn manifested destiny God that ain't got nothing to do with the goddamn devil. So don't get lost in words. Look at actions, right? Who separates themselves and want to stay in the dark? That's who's following the spirit that ain't even make it to earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like stuck in the sun. So think about who got grace but not trying to learn. That's like a pervert Pee Wee Herman. And that's like somebody who draw all day, that's a Jesuit, and heaven and hell don't got nothing else to do with nothing else but being in the sun, around clouds, lost in your imagination. That's what it means. They're like, but they don't know that's where you're going. The only thing is real is the experience. You're not going there to control nobody. You're in your mind right now as a spirit trying to do that to yourself. And the inability of you being able to do that to yourself creates those thoughts. Well, I'm the God of this. But when you show those actions, you self-project what you're trying to do, and you have to use technology and pluck it from the land to do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, ain't no synthetics in heaven. There's no land to pluck from in heaven. 7-11. There's no land to pluck from to make no military galatine gun. So if that's your God is money and material and mammoth. But don't think that's a world you go to. That's dumb. This material. You created a Galaga gun from this. There ain't no world you're going to be able to create another Galaga gun in and try to shoot whatever. You're going to be in your own mind that you wasn't supposed to be in the first place to bring a Galaga gun here on Earth. Who told you to bring that bullshit from hell here? So once everybody from that spiritual group evaporate, it won't be no more Galaga guns. Oops, it ain't. Know what I'm saying? Now we got they descendants who ain't main star players. They're nerds, but they're just expressing what their forefathers always wanted to do. Just be perverts and use our tax dollars to exercise it. So all of these are ways to watch us naked or to watch us or explode us or some shit like that with bombs and shit like that. But don't take it past anything else. Don't even mix that with religion. It's just weirdos. You know what I'm saying? That's why everything they made y'all think is important is only important to you if you accept it and you indoctrinate it. Once you're with God, you'll start to realize it's nothing these people saying about anything except them going to hell. And they just in people's faces while we alive at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even nothing to get into in detail for real. Like, it's all degenerate shit that just people who in hell doing. I don't know how people got grace come on earth and start doing and then just practice small and shortening up their spiritual lineage so they're just no longer on earth anymore. But that's always been a thing. It's like a washing. It wash anything from the atmosphere and the earth that don't belong. You know what I'm saying? And that process never stopped. I don't know what humans be making up and floods and shit like that. Them just humans trying to do shit. And you can't really do it for large portions of time. So you can shrink up. So it's too many of them spirits evaporating because a lot of them got grace and hearing I'm back from other spirits, but too much in the ego. Too much in the ego. Too much trying to justify something or something like that. So it's still a concept of being in limbo. But ask them to draw a picture right now. But they ain't got nothing good to draw but a vampire or something floating in a flame ball. But trying to make you feel like you need to be affected. But it came from their mind. They're the only one affected to create them thoughts. When we create inside of ourselves, our mind, it represents our spirit travel. And if our spirit travel is putting together this neuron to come up with this imagination, this emotion, this adrenaline, and this action, then for the most part, I don't give a fuck what language we're talking about. That shows me where you at and what spirit you up under. And I'm well invested in the spiritual world, whether you believe the spiritual world or not. You're not gonna fool me with anything you just or any other monkey ass human created that didn't got lost for the very purpose of that thing being created. Because it was lost in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to get into that. Yeah, language, all these things can be for morality and relatability. Let's not step aside ourselves and start becoming these symbols. Because you will go to hell, whether you getting $1 million off of it or not. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. I don't know what people are talking about. It's a very thing that motherfuckers are still alive and want to wake up out of a dream. So don't think, oh, I can control my dreams. I don't dream. Or when I dream, who's to say I'm going to have this dream all the time? You just know you got the ability to dream. And if you ain't got the ability to wake up and you in a dream, then motherfucker, no one gives a fuck where a spirit in a position like that would think anyway. I'll say, I'm alive, baby. I'm going to be alive again, baby. I said to be able to tell my dreams and express my dreams and show people as a spirit, I made this mind and we made this organ to express that. Let's make new minds and worlds so we can make new organs, atmospheres, and environment. I'm on that train of thought, line of reasoning. You know what I'm saying? Big dick energy, bitch. Big spirit energy. That's big spirit energy. You know what I'm saying? We adult. We cultivate and nourish the whole concept it mean to create an atmosphere and an environment. Not, oh, I created the atmosphere and the environment because I built a building block building here and put my name because I hit people upside the head with a sword here and shit. Like, nah, I ain't got, it's a little deeper than that. You got to be in on the water itself. You got to be in on the fire itself. You got to be in on this. No, I say you got to be in on the earth itself, in on the air. So you got to be in on these things. If you ain't in on it, you of course, your starting point, take. The whole starting point, take. You know what I'm saying? And then you get put in an unlayering situation, aka not being able to come back on earth and do it again. And then when you got spirits that's here that just got books to understand it, but not the person saying I'm back, and we can slide into an oral tradition, but just write it, and we're gonna write it down, do it better this time, and type of shit. Then it's just spirits on that train because the spirit already in that space, so they're already making those mind states. but they're just now becoming human. So they're lacking layers, still going down the same path that the original spirit and groups of spirits that did that ain't even make it on Earth and shit like that. It is that pocket. So that pocket is a space with that fulfilled of substance, atmosphere condense and become the sun, and then condense and become an environment, aka a pocket and a body part of all of us. You know what I'm saying? So your most unaware physical thing that you are unaware about, like y'all aware about the bowels, the heart, the most thing anything that lead into unintelligence, right? Your most unaware physical part about yourself is because as a spirit, you lack trying to gain full awareness about all your mentalities that been down to become all these things. And then it becomes a spirit needing external circumstances to get that mind and body suited or fulfilled by other spirits or other things in nature that has that substance that this spirit is unwilling to dive in within themselves to try to build on and things of that nature. So also it comes from that internal crevices, you know what I'm saying, of not carving out your mind right. So your glasses is not right. So how you're going to see the external world is not right. And if there's a group of spirits in this position and what y'all want to call power, that's not power. It's just trying to survive. So you're going to do the most crazy shit to survive. All the way to death and spirits coming back is a form of life. We act out life. People who want to act out distress, you get stuck in life still, just experiencing distress. And a lot of times the mind without the body can do that on its own. So this is creating, separating yourself from the mechanism and the machine of coming back, but also creating the ability of being stuck in your mind. So it's doing doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. We all have the ability to think. We're supposed to think. You do it for the wrong reasons. You get stuck in a world of thought. You see what I'm saying? And it's a world of your thought. It's your seed. You can't. So let's say if you're alive right now and you do something bad to somebody else and you try to blame it on their belief. Their belief, in all actuality, had nothing to do with what motivated you to do what you did. So for you to come up with that idea only comes from a starting point of you doing something to that person, or that would never be in the discussion. So there's some doubt, there's some guilt, right? First and foremost. And no matter how much you claim you don't believe, a form of belief have to be there to even argue with it. You see what I'm saying? So you either arguing yourself out of trying to believe it, or trying to argue with the belief because you believe it, but try to interpret it in your way, aka changing something to make it to justify your degeneracy. You see what I'm saying? So it's a spirit that's already degenerate with themselves, but didn't realize it before practicing something externally. So depending on the ego, that's how far its level of intelligence may try to ring around things, make intelligent things for wrong reasons, think which is the right thing for all the wrong reasons. And this builds separation. This builds the opposite direction because your spirit already let you know you wrong, or you wouldn't have that train of thought in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Because what you just did ain't got shit to do with that other person's belief. That person could have believed in a goddamn rock. That don't mean you get to say, well, why ain't your rock stop me from graping you? If your rock so special, if your tree so special, if your eagle bird so special, why it ain't stop me from hitting you upside the head with a sword? You know what I'm saying? What made you do as you do? That you know if it was done to you, it would hurt. And you supposed to know better to do better. We didn't need no book to know water outside of us play out different than the body inside of you, than your body, but you need water. So you know you ain't a human. I mean, you know you ain't an animal. You got a higher sentient thought because you could put yourself in a different person's thought and actions and shoes and imagine yourself, which is why you ain't an animal no more, to build this type of organ from that ability to know that if you went through that same situation, it'll hurt mentally and physically. And by you trying to justify, because you're not in that position, and it's something that's self-serving, so you could develop lack of care. You really lack care for yourself, but you're projecting at the moment, and it will be dealt with. It's something like that, regardless of however you felt like you got over, based upon justifying, well, I don't gotta care for you because the God that you sitting here showing me you believe in don't make sense to me, so I can hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Based upon what I want. And that's how an animal think. That's how an animal think. You know what I'm saying? Now, we don't need, and animals a little smarter than that. Because I don't even think a damn bird or a hawk or an eagle or an owl or a goddamn vulture would spend time zooming down and kill all the bees. I think they know, like, let's leave the bees here because the nectar won't go into the flower. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. Like, I don't even think they'd fuck up a bee habitat. I don't think I ever seen a bird trying to fuck up a bee's habitat. We got humans doing this shit. Fucking up another human's habitat. You know what I'm saying? Like, real shit. So that can only be a scavenger, a raccoon with rabies. What you doing? What you doing out behind the shadows? I'm saying, real shit. What you doing out in the daytime, searching for blood and shit like that, with a whole slash on the side of your body, like you got bit by a possum or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Opossum, raccoon. You know what I'm saying? They done made millions off of that. Turned humans into coons. Made humans possums online. Every time you see a stupid ass thumbnail of somebody in a fake ass shark, I turn all humans into possum. That's shit. Goddamn. They know how to make some money though. See, I can't hate. I ain't a hater though. Motherfuckers know how to make some motherfucking money, man. I'm saying, you gotta give somebody credit. You gotta give people credit sometimes, though. I'm saying, real shit. You go through the fire, you go burn, fermentate some shit, walk through the brimstone. Of course, you're gonna start thinking, like, hey, I can put this together, I can do this together, I have to wipe my ass with this. I need a lot of this. Whatever that may be, it's the same energy. Right now, it just look like money, but it's the same energy. It's, y'all saying real shit. Everybody got good qualities, no matter where you at on earth, in heaven. In hell. No matter where you at. Everybody gonna build some sufficiency. You know what I'm saying? Think about a human in the wintertime. Think about a beaver without a beaver dam. You know what I'm saying? Real think about Yogi Bear ain't got no honey at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Alright, don't matter. Spirit's the same way. But then I add other context and layers to it too. Who go on that extreme for certain shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, this is real spiritual psychology right here, bitch. You know what I'm saying? When the spirit close to God and shit, it ain't too much you need. Mentally and even physically. I'm on my land, bitch. You somewhere separate from something. Shit, I seen a lot of people separate from their refrigerator when they was at work too long and they was hungry and shit. And you could tell how they start thinking and building up frustrations with people at work and shit, where they really just need a bite to eat or something like that, and things. All right, take it to a greater layer. Since we want to believe in macro, micro universe or whatever, all right, what you think a spirit is? When they need to go to whole other lands and whole other, you know what I'm saying? Shit. A spirit in need. A spirit in need. So, you know, like, sometimes these languages, these meanings behind it shape our mind and shape the reality of what we think we seeing and stuff like that. We won't be seeing that at all. Like, right now, you're seeing a spaceship. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? Native spaceship. But yeah, y'all say you gotta know, like, you could be in a certain spirit. That means a space. Spirit just means multiple. So your soul could be in the spirit. That means just in another space other than yours. Now, here's the thing. That your spirit, your space, your soul being in the spirit, that means you in a different space other than yours. So there's going to be different atmospheres, mental forms that can have an imagination how it can play out condensed in the environment if you was to play that out in your physical. You know what I'm saying? Because the imagination condensed and become the physical in the first place. So that's what you're plucking from. And, you know, if you pluck it from degeneracy, that's the only thing. So if we in this world sharing it, right? It ain't what we do, it's how we do it. It ain't what we see, it's how we see it. So we all seeing the same thing. We just might not be seeing it the same way. Now you know how to spot a colonist God. You see what I'm saying? Y'all ain't get these Bibles and these books from no damn God brain. You got them from a human's brain. And a human that was a spirit inside of it was on the wrong path. It was in darkness. What did it say in Genesis? I'm saying real shit. It said it start naming all the animals and start naming all the shit. Last time I checked, y'all don't be naming shit no more. We used to name shit, and then they came over here, the government only naming everything. You know what I'm saying? So y'all be like, yeah, the God came and named all the animals and stuff like that. Like y'all don't never question. And what time? What humans was around listening to a God say that's called a bear? Well, last time I checked, that bear that's in English. Opossum that's in Native American. Raccoon in Native American. You know what I'm saying? Like so, you start thinking like you gotta start questioning shit. Like hold on, what am I talking about? Babble. Yeah. What is you talking about? Gibberish. I'm saying, when the last time you heard a donkey talk? Better than that. So y'all got to start questioning these religious people. What are you talking about? Before you even let them get into anything that they even talking about. First of all, ask them, what's your DNA test for you to be a Christian? Because that's just like saying you're a Native American. You're a Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? You're a Ghanaian or whatever the case may be. Real DNA test. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You're a Jew. How? What's your blood test? Where the blood test at? I'm not in spirit. You know what I'm saying? Off the bat, you might not even need to carry the conversation any further. But let's say you choose to and stuff like that. And then as soon as they be like, man, it's not about that. I'm not in spirit. Just be like, all right. Then as soon as they start talking again, ask them like, man, listen, I'll never do a crime with you. They're going to be like, man, we ain't talking about that. Why you bring that up? And be like, cuz you bearing false witness. Man, I could do something that you ain't even around me, and you would just make up a story to get me in jail and shit like that. They'd be like, hold on, what you talking about and shit like that. And so I'm going to ask you what you talking about again. I'm gonna ask you what you talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the Holy Bible or something. I'm talking about how you bearing false witness. You or the monkey ass author wasn't there in these events. No, I said all the way to the monkey ass motherfucker who was in the beginning talking about at the beginning God created light and said let there be light. How? With no humans around. How you know that? You know what I'm saying? Some damn narc who was lost one day and shit. You know what I'm saying? Shut up, dude. You know, shut up, bitch. You know what I'm saying? You gotta start thinking. But if you want to let him go down a little further, then all right, then boom, you want to let him pull out a scripture. Well, this helped me for my life. Just dissect the scripture. Oh, okay, this specific scripture. Oh, this helped everybody in life with small dick problems. You know what I'm saying? The other scripture after that might be alcohol problems. You know what I'm saying? That ain't really the Bible itself. You know what I'm saying? That's it. You win every debate. You win every debate. Bring somebody back down to reality. Shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Then if they want to walk, well, I can't talk to you because I'm a Christian. Here's that accent, what continent and what DNA flows through you and shit. The moment they say whatever they is or some shit, look, I'm Irish. Don't have no more conversation with them then. They all over the place in the mind. They don't know where they going, coming or going and shit. 9 times out of 10, they stay on a continent, on a land, around neighbors that ain't their family or nothing like that and shit like that. They probably hate themselves. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Actions speak louder than words. You lost. You ain't around no culture, no nothing, and you colonize it. That's it, bitch. That's it, bitch. That's all, folks. I said, so y'all gotta peep game. You gotta be careful what spirit you in. Every language and every goddamn terminology behind something, all the way to the damn Bible, might not have an answer. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to see the word where it ain't a word. So you know, even this word could sound like it's good for you, but it might not be. This word sound and this word cannot be good for you, but you just lost and distracted into something so it look like and it sound like it's good for you. Then you go down these trains of thoughts and line of reasonings and get hung on crosses and spit at and rocks thrown at you and stuff like that, and got the nerve to be like, well, shit, I don't care because they even cast stones and cursed out Jesus Christ and shit like that. Shit, last time I checked, you ain't Jesus though. Everything somebody said about you was warranted. Everything. I said, you don't get to say none of that. You don't get to claim shit, bitch. None of that. No, you a well reprobate. That was well justified. Whoever called you something and cursed your ass. I said, oh shit, don't bring nobody else involved in this. You bear false witness again, bitch. You wasn't around. Real shit. You know what I'm saying? I was around to see your flunkness. I said we was around, me, you, your family, your friends, associates, co-workers. We was all around to see this well justified. Whoever said curse your ass out, bitch. You don't get to bear false witness about what happened 2,000 years ago like you going through the same shit. You ain't going through shit. You some damn reprobate. You know what I'm saying? Shit on none of that. None of that. Bro, shit, anything else, y'all just lost in law. No, lost in foggy lands and Disneylands and shit. You know, shout out to the Oglalas. Oh, there's peace and bull. We standing up. But yeah, y'all say y'all got to peep game. Don't get lost into no shit. The actions speak louder than the words. Anybody who is some separate stuff, they want you to go in the dark. They want to exercise Robert Greene books and stuff like that. Man, that's a spirit fresh from hell. Getting ready to go to hell because it ain't none of their ancestor spirits was able and had the ability to say I'm back. So they all just saying I'm that. So now they have to mimic other spirits that's here. So, oh, what this person doing good? Well, so maybe I'm that. Maybe I'm seductive, not in the seductive bone in your body and shit. I said it ain't a musical bone in your kneecap. Hey, the military bone in your left elbow and goddamn right pinky and shit. I said I got a nerve to be making millions off these books. Come on, man. Come on, y'all. No. Y'all be tripping down here. Y'all tripping on Earth. Y'all tripping on Earth. Y'all ain't no powerful spirits, man. Y'all tripping down here on Earth. Y'all tripping down. All y'all tripping down here on Earth. But yeah, man, y'all gotta start thinking, man. Debunk anybody and shit like that. Because people just be talking out their ass and shit like that. You supposed to look at a person like, what made you even want to make an argument out of something that was you ain't got nothing to do with? You know what I'm saying? You ain't in on nothing and shit like that. You just want to jump in and claim shit and stuff like that for no apparent reason to get lost in foggy land. Knowing that that's a goddamn mind of a colonist pilgrim. Talk about Noah's Ark and a ship. The only people we see on Earth creating ships is pilgrims and shit like that and bringing people over here on a Jesus boat. Y'all said real shit. If you don't know that's the spirit they following, your ass is retarded. I say your ass got to be damn near retarded if you don't know that's the damn spirit they following and shit like that. Your ass ain't following that spirit, or if that's your God, why you don't act it out? Go make a boat. I say go make a boat. No, go become a colonist. I say go put somebody on the back of the boat. I say go spirit soul save or some shit like that. You ain't doing shit. You're some damn motherfucker lost in the English language. Oh, for that. Even these Hebrew books and shit like that. Y'all need translators in English. That's already making phony. Pardon me, y'all just prayer warriors and shit like that. I said, like to pray a lot and shit. Shit ain't got shit to do with that and shit. When we pray, we just PREY. We go to real vision questions and stuff, get real knowledge and come back, act it out, and cultivate the land. Man, y'all pray, it's goddamn got spells in your mind and shit like that. Just lost and have nightmares. That's it. By somebody else who actually inhale. So y'all gotta be careful of that too, because that's how you spot somebody in hell. Because can't nobody name one person a spirit that's in their mind that ain't, if they sleep, they can't use their body, or if they dead at the moment in hell. Making humans do things in the reality other than being inside their mind. So whoever a human that's woke and got grace and alive and acting out these things in their mind, they going there too. They going to that hell too. So that lets you know that spirit do exist. It is a spirit that went to hell before a bunch of other spirits went to hell. Is this a mathematical way you got to get there? So you have to look at the actions of like colonists, look at the actions of cults, look at the actions of liars and stuff like that. Those are spirits that don't come back. This is why it's so much genuine stuff that outweigh that in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just going through a big washing machine cycle. And you always been here. So whatever you've been doing, you're updating it. Whatever other people are doing that's degenerate ain't updating it. So they're like flushing out. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, yeah, it would have never been no goddamn news channels or none of that goddamn shit with no other goddamn ethnicity on that goddamn bitch. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. So we in a different time where they're doing the right, they're secretly trying to do the right thing. It's just a large portion of them still not learning. And so they just express like deeper ways of going to hell. But exercising it on earth, what they already at inside themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm not about to create a whole bunch of drawings about me walking on fire in the middle of the sun and stuff like that. Because that was stuff we did on Earth and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes like that's stuff we did already here. And looking at the land and burning it out like the black fields, the Blackfoot, the Blackfeet and stuff like that. They no, not talking about no DNA or nothing like that or whatever the case may be. It was like the yellow world, the black world, the white world, and the red world and stuff like that. So just talk about how the continent is constructed, and every tribe may be in a particular area and things of that nature. So based upon the grassy lands or the meadows or the basins or the Great Lakes or the Great Plains. You see what I'm saying? It's just different terminology based upon where you at. But at the same time, when we start to talk about spirits, you could be in a spirit that's more closer to the great spirit, or you could be in a spirit that's degenerate. So you're trying to go fly into an animal solar system world, their mind in the great earth, and get outside of this body, trying to find a way to kill this being Leanne or kill yourself at it. So these degenerate thoughts, and then when you kill other people, you do that to yourself. And your spirit creates another awareness, a spaceship that gets stuck in a pocket in the great earth that we would call the little cycle behind it. You could filter through the glasses of Pisces here, but it's behind it. It's the great earth, and that's the little field where a lot of the animals be at that ain't quite adults yet to make that atmospherical human type bodies. Now, right now, when animals is trying to learn to go to heaven, create a better mind to be in that atmosphere, to be born through adult spirits, adult humans, and stuff like that, you have to be pets. But then there's degenerate animals too, and stuff like that we shouldn't eat. And sometimes every now and then we'll go through a scarcity or something like that. It'll be a small game, and we'll eat it. So not only the spirit, how we killed it, the mind and the flesh enter into this being, and us being blood cells is breaking it down. But how that looks is us being blood cells doing something with each other in the mind, and then start mixing with each other physically, and then brought in that thought condensed as fleshly fluids with all those mosquito spirits in it to be born out in this world to look something like us. So they're able to do the things we do, but it ain't what we do, is how we do it. They got our type of blood cell, mind and body, but they're from a different spirit lineage of the little animals, because it's like a glasses. This is like glasses. It's like seeing things through Yehova's body. For an example, your body is made out of water. So the blood cells inside of you might just see it as the universe, right? But if they got a sun and a moon, that's your external thought, and then a reflection, and then they're witnessing the condensity, and it becoming the environment. So the environment is your organs and your bones, and your atmosphere is your thoughts and your feelings. And as a spirit, this is spirits that share the same similar thoughts, but they was born in your space. So these are spirits you could bring into this world also when you make that condensity, mind and physical flesh, and them being aware, pardon me, with their own, and condensing and bringing it out, or however the case may be. So that's kind of like how we're doing. But for the most part, when you're a blood cell in the being, right, our way of understanding, now the blood cells inside of you, your heart and all that stuff, the land. The sky is like your mind, and condensing and become that process of thinking and feeling and stuff like that. So it becomes the sun and the moon, or however the case may be. Now, so think about all the 5 C's, the body of water, right, as just the being we in. If you was a blood cell inside of you, you can't see outside of you. So this would be how I'm talking about the great earth. And we're a little bit more one of a kind amongst each other than all your blood cells being all of you. But inside of you, they all think they somebody different. See what I'm saying? But they all just a representation of you. You know what I'm saying? We're bringing people in the thing here. Now, if you're looking inside, if you was a blood cell inside of you, there's a way you're trying to understand outside of you. So when you connect your imagination, spaceship, and try to understand something outside of you, it could be something inside of you as a being, or some outside of you as a being, that this as you being a being, but I'm trying to describe you being a blood cell, you will be interacting with. But you the blood cell inside of you. And let's say you is what you're calling universe, how we're looking at this concept right now, inside of Yehovah. Now, you being a blood cell, having this agreeing negative thoughts, and starting to fight with each other, and you know you need replenish after that depletion. This being you in, which is you, take that ass being fatigued and needing to eat. And let's say it's a collection of deserted thoughts that bend in and become deserted actions and feelings. It may not be no good game around. Now, there's a certain area in the great earth where degenerate animals like hyenas at and stuff like that. And you have to be choosy when you eat that. So the spirit and the groups of spirits inside of that great earth atmosphere and environment, and then blood cells and all of them, is they all think they're living in one world, jumping from one body to body, same way we do here. How you could become your friend and give birth to your friend if they die before you and stuff like that. Y'all know how I broke that down, all right? So for the most part, here's the thing. So they got their little spirit washing machine cycle. The spirit, collection of minds, atmosphere, environment, whatever, rooted, deserted shit that they're like 4 walking creatures or something. A lot of them walk on their belly and shit. You know what I'm saying? Still got arms, the 4 alarms and shit. So the blood cells inside of that is like, you know, the spirit inside of the mind and the body, and then all the blood cells inside of that doing a microversion, all of those. If we ate the being we in, or if you're a blood cell inside of you, and you can't see outside of you, and eat one of these things, is in your ecosystem as an invasive species now. Because we do the same thing, think, and it condense and become similar things, physical forms, but it ain't what we do, is how we do it. And we do it in different areas. So if we need the same thing, but we made the thing we need from different pockets, this is how you get river falls up underneath the water, right? Because this water got a lot of material in it than the other one. So you get river falls underneath the river and oceans and stuff, right? So for the most part, this is in, ooh, let me not miss my point too. Yeah, so when it comes into entering in, right, how your blood cells is breaking it down is them having sex and living life the same way we live in life inside of Yehovah. But if we're doing crazy and did something stupid and then start mixing up each other and stuff like that in a negative way, it brings that spirit, groups of spirits in that mind and flesh that we're breaking down. So it got forms in this environment to mix with our form, mental concepts to mix with our original thought before we was mixing our thoughts up. So now our spirit was in a space that it didn't belong in. So it represent all of us being blood cells inside of this being. That's what it was doing. And a space it didn't belong in, and needing something it didn't belong, it wasn't supposed to do. Now, from our perspective, looking outside of this being, but coming up with that imagination, there's an area that this being be going that we can see, but we only know how to decipher it physically for us when the sun is going through Pisces season, Pisces time, and even when it's not going through Pisces time, just that mental concept. So that's how you, as a spirit, jump in your spaceship and go to that cycle, even when you ain't physically experiencing that cycle. And you can bring an idea back in this cycle and make something that was useful in wintertime and the summertime, and then make something like water parks. You see what I'm saying? And shit like that. But I'm just giving y'all concepts and shit, right? So in all actuality, in the great earth, that's a group of spirits inside of animals, minds and bodies and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? When you appear to go to hell inside of this being we in, you are a group of spirits that only made the spaceships of that negative creature being inside of a being it don't belong in, so it play out as resistant or trying to eat it up and take it over, the conscious, the people, the blood cells, and it, right? But also not knowing how to get out. So when you go to hell, you get stuck in Yehovah's solar plexus, trying to find your way back to that species. But that species is a dying species. It's like an animal or something like that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a limbo. So it play out like a lack of becoming the next kind of creature. Lack of thought, lack of feeling that condensed to become the actual physical form that's pleasing to the being we in and the atmosphere and the environment. You see what I'm saying? And you not resistant to it. You don't burn up by it. So anytime something is resistant to something else, it's because it's an invasive species. So when something is the same thing as something is harmful. When something is indifferent, it's harmonious. So when we put that on a greater level, right? When something is in its own container and then it has a masculine and feminine side, it's harmonious. When something from another container that has its own masculine and feminine side come in with something else on its own Democrat Republican system already, right? Then it become a clashing of that, right? And then it becomes two separate things. And then if one of the things haven't blended the equilibrium energy in with itself because it lacks thought, it lacks feelings, right? Then it's going to uneven the order. And then it's going to play out as when it comes mix in, that separate thing going to mix in and become the same thing as that other thing, but it's still different. So it can only be of the substance once it mixes into the other thing of that thing it is, bringing the other things it's from. So the other things it's from is foreign thought, but the foreign thought is in resistance to the thought and the flesh that condense in this thing. So it end up being like it's the same thing even when it's not. So we get to experience combustion or harmful energy even when it appears to be something different. So it could be like a thing that's made out of the sun but get burnt by the sun. Two of the same energies create harmful stuff. But on a greater scale, the reason why that even exists is because we all do the same thing, just in different ways. Two thoughts equals two suns. And when one sun try to mix in with another sun, spiritual root race, pocket, mind, and when one is doing the same thing that it could have did in this area, trying to do it in another area, it become an invasive species. So it appeared to filter through the same thing while still having different traits. There could be two bodies of water having two different bodies of salt in it. You know what I'm saying? Two different atmospheres. I mean, two different cities with two different wind cycles when it comes to temperature. So the temperament will change, and then this is where it can make a thunderstorm. You see what I'm saying? So this is how you have to understand it spiritually. So something can appear to be the same thing and still being differ, and you can go down trains of thoughts and line of reason as a rhetoric based upon whatever side that you in, the positive or the negative side, to make anything make sense that suits you that still may not have anything to do with reality. See what I'm saying? So for the most part, that's how you understand it. Spiritually connected to the mind, then connected to the body and the reality. So you can't say it's pseudo because there is no other explanation. Yet this is the only thing that ties it. You know what I'm saying? Where a person would say the thing that don't matter is actually the thing that only matters. Actually, the only thing that matters. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand it's like it's a layering system. And your first body is the mind. So we're able to be through each other in the heavier layer, the body in that case. You know what I'm saying? So this is how we can usher and portal each other through each other. You know what I'm saying? And your kids is your ancestors and your parents' ancestors, and just keep that cycle going. And it's spread out, spread out, spread out. This is how we make indigenous races without practicing incest at the very start. You know what I'm saying? Because it's spread out. For an example, boom, is you. Then you have you was born by parents. Then you have a kid, right? Then it's supposed to stay on this process and keep spirits in the same thing, so it ain't never like a death, because this is how we had it, right? Then you know the your kid, right? The you might be still alive. So your kid, right? When they have a kid, or that could be you if you don't die before your kid have a kid. I mean, because if you don't die before your kid have a kid, then you're still here as the grandfather or the grandmother or the great auntie, great uncle, right? So then that's the spread out system, because first it start with you, then another, and then now it's spread out again for more people could be able to usher in. But we all supposed to remember that. And like, all right, yeah, you're going to, so right now, you as my child, you my ancestor, and I'm going to tell you everything you told me. And then you're going to expand that. Then as you die, your kid have you, right? And then your kid, when you are had, right, your child end up being your grandparent this time. You know what I'm saying? And then now your grandparents supposed to already be like, already know that's you. How we had practices, how we did our burial mounds and everything and shit like that. And then it'll be certain actions that show us if that's not you. After a while, it'll be a whole process though. You know what I'm saying? For us to know that that's not you. But for the most part, the spirit is real. You jump in minds and you jump in bodies. And the more you know how to harness the mind, the more you know how to create the body, the organ, and go back into your people. And for the most part, it has to be relatable and in sync with your people and in nature. If it's unrelatable and sync, you can't get back in it. Even if you got people that's alive, mix it with other people, the other spirit that's more in charge of the mind and body would take the body again, and the spirit of the lineage of people that was weaker in mind not going to take it again. This is how a lot of times you could have brothers and sisters, but you got a different one look like the mother more than the father, and stuff like that, and y'all lineages be going to different places and stuff like that. Is based off the thought and the feeling. And then this is how we make men and women too. Like if you a person that's just having sex out of pleasure, a lot of times this would create the genes to make up the organ that a spirit could take as a young girl. When you having a plant out thought and it ain't about pleasure, it's just about sex, but it's a lot of negative thoughts of sex that's a pastime, it's other things important and stuff like that. Then a lot of times you have you built the gene to have a boy, because you're making a mind, and then the spirit that more in that energy take that organ. And then for the most part, as a team, y'all work as a 3 team or a triplet or however the case may be, and to bring that in. You know what I'm saying? So you have to keep that in mind. So even if you have kids, you know what I'm saying, you got to look at it like that. If it's a situation where there's a lot of pleasure or feelings and emotions involved and things of that nature, so a lot of logic is out the window, then you might have a girl. But if it's like a lot of logic, planned, or let's say it ain't planned, but it's kind of like no emotional connection. Like it really ain't no like it ain't planned. It's out of pleasure, but it also ain't the logical thought of pleasure. It's a logical thought of, oh, I'm just fucking, or whatever the case may be. Oh, I'm not thinking it's gonna go this far, or whatever. Then a lot of times it that makes a boy. You know what I'm saying? That makes a boy, because that be the neuron that's being built up and stuff like that. More the masculine is being built up and stuff. When something more out of pleasure and stuff like that, it ain't planned. It'll be like a woman. When something like planned, but it ain't really no emotion behind it, it'll be a young boy and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Because a person has to plan something if it ain't just based off pleasure. So it's like a setup or something like that, or however the case may be. So this, but that's just that type of science. But for the most part, like I said, when we interacted with spirits and shit, we used to have a situation where we kept track of that. Whatever. That's why I'm continuing, or whatever the case may be. But then you're supposed to know your child. You're teaching everything, or the grandkid, they're teaching everything they taught you. Then it's spread out more. You become the great parent, and the great auntie or the great uncle, or whatever the case may be. And then that plays out in physical reality too, because you're still extending tribes and bands as you're on this cycle before you become the grandfather and grandmother again. So that's where that extension comes from. But the family stay intact in some type of way. So even when it's not incest, everybody still has some type of kinship communion type thing going on. So you know what I'm saying? But we gotta get back to those days. But for the most part, we are 15 minutes in. I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. Y'all stay spiritually protected. Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're not listening to the mind of an Terry Smooth. I am the Royal Argent Uriel. Let me take care of God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. Hell, hold on, yellow.